Have you ever heard of the capital sins when you were growing up, memorizing capital sins? Actually, capital vices. Actually, they're not so bad in themselves. But every one of them leads to something far worse. That's why they're called capital. They're the beginning. They're the opening up the floodgates of selfishness. And the one that we're seeing in these two readings is envy. Have you ever experienced a little envy? Here it leads to murder. Here it leads to such an obsession with what someone else has that they want it, they're willing to kill for it. The brothers, of course we know how the story eventually ends, all the way into eventually they're being punished for their envy. And of course, the second reading, they're punished because the king executes them. All because of envy. As I say, it opens the floodgates of far worse things. And that's why it's called capital. Another capital sin is sloth, or sloth. Laziness. Doesn't laziness lead to a lot of other stuff in our lives? We don't do what we're supposed to do, and so good things aren't being done. So that capital sin of envy strikes at the very root of society's bonds. And how often have we had to confess envy? Well, we haven't let it most of the time carry us into these violent actions, but it's an opening, and we have to be careful. And so to counteract envy, we should be humble. Humble before God and humble before each other. Realize I'm not at the center of the universe. God is. I'm part of the universe. And I have a role to play in the universe. And you have a role to play in the universe. And you have a role to play in the universe. But we're not at the center. And your role is unique to you, and yours to you, and mine to me. And we're asked to play it out over the course of our lives. Not be envious of each other's role. Because it can lead to such hurt in the community. Lying, cheating, stealing, and of course, the real violence of killing. And of course, if you read in the media from time to time, you will find someone who has killed someone out of envy. How many times do we hear someone wants an inheritance, mom or dad's, brother or sisters, and they find mom or dad in a deep freeze 6 months later because the son wanted the inheritance. Envy. So during this Lenten time, look up on your little phone the capital sins. They'll be there. And then look at each one of them. How does it affect people? And how, when I indulge in some of them from time to time, do they affect me? Let go of that selfishness. That's what penance is all about. To help us to let go of things so that we let go of the more profound realities of qualities. Quality of selfishness, quality of arrogance, the quality I am at the center of the universe. Because it causes so much hurt. Let's enter this Eucharist once again this morning, conscious of how we've hurt others. Maybe from envy, how we have thought bad thoughts at times because of envy. And realize we're just a hair away from doing something because of envy that can be so, so hurtful. And ask God's forgiveness and help us to develop awareness of my place in God's creation and God's place in creation. It'll go a long way to giving us peace in our own hearts.